I heard you last year, earlier this year, actually, at a commemoration at the Victims of Communism Memorial Museum of Solzhenitsyn. And you gave some really beautiful remarks. And I was wondering if, coming from an immigrant family, Thanksgiving has kind of a even more powerful resonance just in your own life.
Yeah, I think definitely it's something that my family grabbed onto with two hands because it is a holiday that allows all Americans sort of to exactly feel gratitude for what I think at least immigrants that we should want to have in this country feel every day, which is that the gratitude for the differences and the way that America is different from where they came from. And obviously that's changing, not only because I think there are two halves to that problem of immigration changing in this way, and why people sense rightly, I think, that our immigration battles are different than they have been in the past. One is, of course, we have different people coming here. But
you mean non-Polish people coming
yes.
here?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Polish supremacist. No.
Gosh.
I have my Krakow glass. No, I think America attracted a very certain type of person, and that oftentimes did not fit a very individualistic type of person who would leave community, would leave family to come to America. And Emily, you and I have talked ad nauseum about some of the limitations of that individualistic ethos of America, but I think it really attracted some of the people who are most willing to set aside their old lives. Once migration became primarily economic and then came in such numbers all over the world, I think it started changing the type of person who was attracted to coming here, and people who were doing okay, but were just jockeying for a higher salary, or who were not doing well, or come from truly third world countries. And anyway, this is going pretty far afield from what you asked.
It's not.
But I do. In answer to the direct question, yeah, I mean, I think Thanksgiving has a particular meaning in my family as a tradition that we've joined and have been able to join wholeheartedly as Americans. And we do the whole corny thing of going around the table and saying what we're grateful for. And every year, one of the things that we're grateful for is America. So maybe that's too corny for this crowd, but.
No. Well, I do actually have one more question for you on that, which is, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but your parents, we just mentioned, Polish. That's an experience that involved the Soviet Union, obviously, and freedoms in the United States of America are easily taken for granted by people, especially people my age. I wasn't going to say our age, because I think both of you were born before the wall fell. Am I right? Yeah, I'll take your silence as a deafening yes. Yeah. All right.
What you just said there.
Especially my age. Not even having the pop cultural context of what it was like for the foil of the Soviet Union to exist. And as I think that's also worth reflecting on, because there's generations of immigrants who came here from the Soviet Union who just have so much gratitude for what they experienced in the US.
Yeah, Soviet immigrants vote pretty right wing, I think. No, there is a frustrating piece of that experience, which is certain elements that you recognize in common. I know my parents, especially my father, has had this over the years. Certain elements that you recognize, and you know the tune, and you know the direction of the tune. By the way, I think Americans from super left-wing states have this as well. I think there's a reason that all the Californians, my husband is a fifth-generation Californian, the Californians all have this too. They just, your ear is attuned to where the left is going to go because you've heard that song before. And when people, sort of scoff at, well, we were nowhere close to the Soviet Union. Well, first of all, I mean, I think people think about high Stalinism when they're thinking about the Soviet Union, the time that you were sent to a gulag for criticizing the government, right? By the time you get into, the 60s, 70s, 80s, it wasn't. So Poland was in the Warsaw Pact. There are certain differences between being, behind one side of the actual Soviet republics and Poland and just being in the Warsaw Pact, but it was behind the Iron Curtain, and a lot of the same things applied. But it wasn't actually, you say the wrong thing, you go to the gulag. It was all the exact things that we started to see, that kind of soft totalitarianism that we saw developing in America in, let's say, 2020 to 2024, really, which Of course, surveillance, a huge piece of this. Look at the former GDR, for example. 1 in 6 people were informants for the secret police there. But also just kind of all of these informal nodes and institutions that make life and work possible. The guild that would qualify you to work, for example, as an artist. Well, you had to be in good standing with the party to be part of the guild, and then at one point even to purchase paint. Right? So if you were a painter, you couldn't purchase paint at one point if you didn't have the correct politics and you had not been verified by the party. So I think a lot of those soft structures, you don't need a gulag to keep 99% of people. There aren't a lot of Solzhenitsyns in the world. You don't really need a gulag to keep people in line in that sense. You just need to threaten their career, their social contacts, their ability for their children to get ahead in life. And I do think those were all elements that were very much so. I'm just showing, I'm not when I say I'm optimistic now, it's not because I wasn't pessimistic before. I think I had a clear idea.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, of where we were going. And that's part of the reason I'm optimistic is it seems to me that the American people have done the pulling the yoke of the plane up out of a dive. And where we're going now, I'm not sure. And there's still plenty of bumps to be had. But it seems to me that we've pulled back on the what do you call it? The yoke or the thing that I don't know. I have to say I'm not a pilot. But they've pulled back on the
You're speaking Polish.
Dive. Yeah. They pulled back on the dive that we were definitely in sort of orbit to do. So I'm mixing all the metaphors now: outer space, flights, whatever.
It makes me think.
I'm grateful. I think Americans basically rejected it in such a sound way that even all of those institutions could not stop that rejection wholly. And now the barbarians are inside the tent, and we'll see what happens.
Another thing that I am grateful for, as you know, if you listen to the show, that would be masa chips, of course. I really love Thanksgiving and the holidays. It gives us all a chance to kind of get back to the basics and eat really good food together. And when I say really good, I mean real food together. And today's sponsor, Masa, is part of the real food movement, bringing back snacks made with ingredients our grandparents used to eat. Masa chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow, no seed oils, no chemicals, just incredible flavor. I love that flavor. With Masa, you'll feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash, bloat, or gross, sluggish feeling afterwards. My favorite flavor of Masa, I have a hard time choosing. I really like lime. I like the habanero, but I also like the churro flavor as a nice dessert. But if you love Masa, then you'll love Vandy Crisps. I feel so ridiculous saying this, but I really also love Vandy Crisps so much. Vandy is Masa's sister company, and they make the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips I have ever tasted. Truly, I have never tasted better chips. My favorite is, of course, Smokehouse Barbecue. And if you're looking for the best Black Friday deal on Masa, Masa always offers our audience a Black Friday level offer of 25% off their first purchase. Use code AFTERPARTY for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. And if you don't feel like ordering online, we have good news. Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. So stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone.